Hey, welcome back. You know, inflation eased a little bit in October, but not enough for consumers to actually be able to notice it.
I shouldn't feel it, but is even a slight decline a good sign of consumers for the future? We're joined by Professor Dietrich von Biedenfeld from the University of Houston downtown to talk more about it. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Do you see he's got the big board in? So
I know. Class is in session.
All right, let's start with inflation. What happened in October?
So fortunately, we saw the inflation numbers come in more positively than economists predicted. So instead of that 8% projection, it was 7.7%. And while that seems nominal, we realize we've got a $25 trillion economy. So 7.7, I'd take that as a lotto win, right? So it's we've seen a bit of the cooling. We've seen this 375-point basis increase by the Fed starting to take effect, and that's strengthening the dollar. Unfortunately for some folks in tech, they're seeing layoffs. So we saw that 13% number across a number of industries where Facebook or now Meta laid off around 11 or planned layoffs around 11,000 workers. 13% was a trend for a number of tech companies. That's not great for those workers, but it is great for the economy because it shows that cooling is working.
Okay, great. So that pretty much signals that the worst is over.
Hopefully it is, but we
Fingers
still
crossed.
have these persistent things in Ukraine. So as long as the breadbasket of Europe is in turmoil, some of those effects can be seen in cost increases across the world. And the strong dollar isn't always a great thing.
And I'm wondering why we're not really feeling it. I haven't seen a better part in any part of my budget.
Right. Well, and a major aspect is we're about 30 days behind on everything as far as our market research. And then companies, we see that bullwhip effect still, where companies are trying to adjust and maximize profitability while addressing consumers. But we've got a lot of things that are keeping things artificially stable, such as these regular releases from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That can't be maintained forever. You draw on your savings account to keep that standard of living. At a certain point, you got to either replenish it, which is going to cost us, or you've got to do something different. So some of these artificial things that we're seeing aren't going to be sustainable long term. And so that's going to keep things fairly stable on the price increases.
So when do you think we'll be able to see an actual difference in some of those daily purchases?
Again, hopefully we'll see something early in next year. Right now, again, we've got some artificial aspects with Strategic Petroleum Reserve and some of those releases, but we really need this conflict in Ukraine to end. And of course, moving into the Christmas holidays, some of those products that we're getting from China, that's kind of increasing. So we're seeing some of these things that hopefully early next year, these increases will take effect and the economy will stabilize a little bit.
Well, obviously you don't have a crystal ball, and like you said, things have to change, and who knows what's going to happen and when in Ukraine and all of these other factors. But is there any indicator of what's happened in the past, in history, of about how long this time could last, when we can start building back our 401ks and things like that?
Well, this is unprecedented. We've had demand pull, cost push, and built-in inflation all at the same time. So between the pandemic and this conflict in Ukraine, a lot of unforeseeable things really challenging our markets and our predictions. And so when companies are forecasting their hiring, when they're forecasting their production, there's a lot of instability right now that they've never experienced before. Fortunately, though, we can look at some of the trends, and one of those levers that we're pulling with the Fed rate increases has been historically shown to pull things back. We're looking at a recession, though, so that's not always great for the economy, but again, we're looking at stability within that.
All right, well, we're hoping for the best. Thanks so much for your insight this morning. Appreciate it. Again, Dr. Dietrich joining us from the University of Houston downtown.
I think the final thing down there should be stability. And then we're all going to picture it, we're going to focus on it, and that's going to be. Thanks for your time.